Blessings, everyone. So good to be with you again. This is Shekhem-t from the Tear. It is great to talk with you once again, and I hope that you and your family are doing well during this time of the world pandemic with COVID. Last time we were together in 2019, we had a conversation about what was happening in the world and how we could create better interactions between us and our loved ones, our larger community, and eventually in the world community. Today, I want to address more specifically the things that we can do in order to create behavioral change more intimately, in a better way, let us say, with those who are directly connected to us. In the first part of what I'm going to talk about are some of the issues that we face in our relationships, because as human beings, relating to each other is critical for us to have harmony in our lives. And then in part two of this conversation, we're going to talk about possible solutions. As a psychotherapist and counselor over the decades, I really have found that taking a solution-oriented focus often brings very, very high results. People can see change in their lives as opposed to dealing with mental gymnastics. They're able to concretely do and then see results. So today it's about behavioral challenges. So as we know, when we're in a relationship, whether it's a husband-wife relationship, relationship with our children, relationship with our best friends, relationship with other extended family members, some of the things that comes up that creates difficulties or obstacles are things like people saying to one another in their conversation, I don't feel as if you care about me. I don't feel that you are, or I don't feel that you're caring enough. Or I feel that you are too harsh towards me, or that you lose your temper, you get upset with me over the simplest things. So the basic ingredients and elements to having a good relationship with anyone, be it intimate partner or otherwise, these elements are they're not all of them, but let me just say a few of the elements that I found that work and are essential to a harmonious, loving, peaceful relationship. These elements are respect, positive regard for each other, which has to express itself as caring acts or nurturing of each other, of each partner, not just a one-sided situation, but a reciprocal nurturing of each other, male and female, husband and wife, friends. It has to be a two-way street. And in the midst of difficulties or challenges, that we can always come to a compromise. We agree to disagree, but we can agree in this part. And in that way, some semblance of harmony can be achieved. What does it mean to care about someone? How do we actually know when someone cares about us? Caring expresses itself in terms of words. That's on one hand. When we say, I care about you, I care about how you're feeling, I care about your well-being, I care about whether you have enough food to eat, whether the place that you're living in is adequate or in good order. I care about whether or not, you're safe, okay? And then going, the extra mile for that person when they are in the valley, as I call it, which is when sometimes there's anxiety or when the person is in a depressed state, that other person, you, the partner, or your partner towards you, that you take the extra time to go the extra mile, to do some act that actually represents that you care. So if it is, going out and getting the meal or cooking the meal or allowing the person to rest or allowing or maybe picking up the children so that person doesn't have to do that because they're going through a challenge at the moment. Some of these acts translate to that person as acts of caring. The other part is what does it mean to not care? And the words can be harsh. They can be angry tones. We're not making time for that person. We are verbally abusive, like name calling or blaming others or blaming your partner, your children, for the way you're feeling. It can also involve having no time for others and bad judgments of that person. The person is giving and caring, but you say that they're selfish. The person takes time out for you, but you say they never have time. So in this way, we not only listen to what the words are that we are saying, but we demonstrate it in nonverbal ways by body expressions, slamming doors or turning our backs when we're speaking to the person or grimacing in our face. These expressions really show that we don't care. So the outcome of expressing positive, caring interactions in a relationship that is placed on a foundation of trust, right? When you express the caring, what ends up happening is that it nurtures trust. It nurtures protection. It brings greater prosperity to the relationship because each person in that relationship feels validated as if they matter. And so cultivating an attitude of caring and nurturing and expressing that, not only words, because we can say a lot of things, but what I've found actually, as they say, sticks, the glue that sticks is when the actions take place, not just the words. Because oftentimes, a lot of times people do is they say one thing, but they do the exact opposite. When you do the opposite, there's a conflict. And that conflict manifests as lack of trust or mistrust. On the other hand, the outcome of expressing the negative is distrust or mistrust. There are conflicts, separations. Sometimes husband and wife or friends don't speak for months or weeks or years. People live in the same home together, but then what they do is one goes in one bedroom, or the husband sleeps on the couch, or the wife, locks the door. There is no expression of affection. There is no sweetness. There is no, acts of caring. So in that kind of a situation, then the relationships begin to deteriorate. And when the relationships deteriorate and cannot be mended, then we have permanent situation, as in divorce, as in relationships or friendships that are just nullified, or we have perpetual conflicts between brothers and sisters, and in that way disharmony continues to mount. Okay. Human beings tend to be caustic in their words. When these words move to caustic and harsh actions or in caring actions, the lack of caring can express itself also as physical abuse, and hence, in many cultures around the world, we see high domestic violence as a way of expressing, those caustic behavioral words. What I will say to you is that what I have experienced and what I often have counseled others on is that words lead to negative expression, negative words move to negative behavior. And in sometimes it leads to physically abusing a person, by continuously beating them up, or, locking them out of their house, destroying their property, things like that. So the scarring of trauma that happens as a result of it oftentimes leaves an indelible imprint upon the spirit and the mind, and in many cases on the body of people. We know that again in domestic violence. We know that in even conflicts in the street. We know that in sometimes, the trauma grows to the point where life is also taken. So one of the things we want to do is that we want to minimize that, because in a life, one then comes to a place where the scarring can last an entire lifetime. And for those of us who believe that, life after life, that we come and spend more than one life in the world, sometimes we bring those scars from incarnation to incarnation. So we really want to move beyond the pain, because what pain does, what trauma does, what scarring does, is it limits our potential to achieve. I have met many people who are in their 60s, in their 70s, and when you bring up certain topics, the triggers from things that happened when they were 12, 10, 14 years old in those formative years, it's very painful to see. Oftentimes, they do not know how to remove the scars. They literally, to see a 60 or 70-year-old person turn into a child, lashing out, screaming, crying, disliking, hating their mother or their father, hating the husband or the wife that took away their opportunity for a good life because of hurtful, harmful behavior. So what I want to say is that each one of us, we have the capacity to be caring, loving, peaceful people, because that is the original state that I believe we were created in. Not warring, not angry, not lashing out. And there's a paradigm that says we often lash out at the person who's closest to us. My answer is no, we should not. We should be more loving, because these people are really our center. They are really the anchor on which we live and stand upon each and every day. So in the next part, we will talk about some possible solutions that you can hold to in order for you to have a good life.